Okay, I would like to welcome you to this webinar of Accademia Italiana during our study in Italy days. We have here from Accademia Italiana Fabrice, Giulia, and Sara. And first we will have a brief information about the school. Then there will be the seminar about the 5 mistakes to avoid to do your portfolio. Very interesting topic. And then we'll have time for your questions as well. So I would like to, we can start whenever you want. And then at the end, you may write your questions in the chat box, or just you can turn on your microphones and ask your questions. So you may start whenever you want, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Hugo. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here with us today. We're really happy to have you to this event that we are attending every year. So the Study in Italy Days with our friends of Firenze. It's always a pleasure to meet the students that goes to Firenze to be advised, because it's always at least the one that later arrive in Accademia Italiana are always very, very good students and very dedicated students. So we're always very, very happy about doing these kind of events. So today we will be offering a webinar by my colleague Sara Mercae, who is with us today, about, let's say, some tips about your portfolio. So some of those you might know them already, some of them might be new, but in general, it's always useful to have someone like Sara. Sara is a MA in graphic design, so she actually graduated for bachelor's and master's degrees in graphic design. So she's an expert, and she will be very, very happy to share her experience with you. So before this, I just wanted to very quickly share with you very few information on Accademia Italiana. You can find also more information on the website, and our friends again from the agency Firenze will be very helpful to give you more information about what we do and everything. So Accademia Italiana is an institution which is 40 years old, and it was started in Florence, almost 40 years old. So it was started in Florence in 1984. So I think it's older than all of you. Unfortunately, not older than me, but it has quite a long history. At the same time, it's quite new, because 2 years ago, Accademia Italiana joined the AD Education Network. So AD Education is a network that is constantly growing. So actually, it's not even more 15 schools, but it's much more than 50 schools. It's now almost 20 different schools. And it has more than 68 campuses in Italy, in Spain, in Germany, and in France. This represents more than 80,000 students. Actually, it's even more. Again, now we're almost 30,000 students. And a lot of courses in the at different levels, so undergraduate, masters, professional, summer courses. So Accademia Italiana has 2 campuses now, one in Florence, which has 2 different campuses. This is the main campus in Piazza Pitti, including the loggia up there that faces the beautiful Palazzo Pitti, and a campus in Rome that is actually moving this year to a brand new location, which will be bigger and even more beautiful. So here you can see some images from the campus we have. And these are images of the new campus, some renders of the new campus in Rome that will be open from this year in spring. So students that will start with us the academic year 23-24, so in fall 2023, will have the chance to start directly in the new campus. Today we have, along with us, my colleague Giulia Zucchelli, who is working in the Rome campus. So she will be very happy also to answer your question about Rome campus. So Accademia Italiana is very Italian since the beginning and since its name, but at the same time, it's also a very, very international institution with more than 50% of students, but not so much more. So it's very Italian also in terms of student community, but it has a little more than 50% of international students that come from several countries. So between 50 and 70 countries, depending on the programs and the campus or the academic year. And Turkey is one of the nationalities that is well represented. So we have Turkish students attending both BA programs and MA programs, both in Florence and in Rome. Our courses are taught both in English and in Italian, which means that you can attend if you only know English. So it's not compulsory to know Italian, but at the same time, during your 2 or 3 years in studying in Italy, you have the chance to learn some Italian, including technical terms in your field of studies, which is something that is very useful also for your future, especially if you want to stay in Italy later for an internship or to work or to start your own business. So we are very practical. So because we are an academia, you will have also some theory, obviously, but at the same time, you will have a lot of practical courses, a lot of workshops, and a lot of hands-on and practical projects. So we have also international collaboration, mostly amongst the network for the moment, and you can take the ID Education Network, what are the schools, I can also show you later, but I don't want to take too much time to your workshop. And also Accademia Italiana just joined Erasmus Plus this year, which means that from next year, we will be working on developing Erasmus exchanges, which will be open also to international students. And because we have a lot of international students in our student community, we are also really skilled in helping our students with housing, giving you orientation when you arrive in Italy, helping you, also assisting you with the visa process and all the immigration procedures. And also we have scholarship for international students, including early birds scholarship that will, it's not on our website yet, it will be a flash information, but the first deadline will be the end of January. So enrolling by the end of January will grant you an early bird deduction from your tuition fees. So we have amongst our values, diversity and inclusion. We make a lot of projects about that in all the fields. So in fashion and not only. We just made a very nice workshop and project yesterday with India about recycling of saris. So here you can see some information, but I'm very quick with this. I just show you. You will have more chances then also to ask us information about this and to attend maybe an open day. We will have an international open day also next week where you will have the possibility to talk with our faculty members. And these are the programs that are currently offered and that are currently accredited by the Italian Ministry of Education. So what you get in Italy is a full and official bachelor degree. I just heard from Ugur, you can confirm that it's also now, Accademia Italiana is also officially accredited in Turkey. So you just told me about that, so it's something I wanted to share with the students. You will have an official bachelor degree, and also we have the 2-year postgraduate master's degrees. The fields are fashion design, graphic design, interior and product design all together at bachelor degrees and separated at master degrees, jewelry design, and we are also accrediting communication design, multimedia design in Rome campus. Some of those programs will be available in both campuses, some other only in Florence or only in Rome. Okay, so that's it. I won't go more in depth in all the information. This is a very long presentation with a lot of projects from our students, success stories from Italian and international students. But because this is just a teaser, I'm going very fast. I show you just some of the collaboration we have, institutions and companies. Those are only very few of the collaboration we have, but mostly admission procedure. It will be about motivational interview. We will ask you a portfolio, which is why this workshop is very important, and I will leave you to it very soon. And also, so scholarship that are open to international students, not on the base of the ISE as it is written or grades, but on a merit-based. So we will ask you either your merit would be to enroll very soon and very quickly and show your motivation by enrolling before everybody else, which is the early bird scholarship, or based on a project on portfolio you will send to us. So as I was saying before, you will have also open days in the schools or digital open days. Next one for international students is next Tuesday on December 13th. And you have also workshop on site or online. Perfect. So this is the end of my presentation, and I will now shut up and leave you to the much more interesting presentation from Sara Mercai.
Hello, hi everyone. Thank you, Fabrice, for your introduction. It's amazing to meet you all. I would also like Julia, my colleague from the Rome campus, to open up her mic. So this is a collaboration. It's a project that me and Julia have been working together. Yeah, we look forward to engaging you in this presentation. So I'm gonna start sharing my screen in a second, and I'm gonna leave Julia the mic. So the first part of this presentation is gonna be a bit interactive. So we ask you guys to take your phones out. So you were gonna use your phone for the first part of the presentation as well. So Julia, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Sara. Thank you, Fabrice, for introducing Accademia Italiana, and welcome everyone. So as was said before, my name is Julia. I have been born and raised in Rome. I've been working a lot abroad, and I am now the admission advisor for the Rome campus. And well, yeah, as Sara was announcing, let's go to the fun part. So we would like to make a little game with you before going to the interesting webinar from Sara. Let's get out your cell phones, because we have some questions for you, and we want to see what's really coming out from your, first approach to the portfolio. So if you please gonna scan this QR code, nothing bad will come out. Just scan it, and maybe you can write in the chat if you're ready. If you got into the platform, into the app. Are you in? Because then you're gonna see the first question. Someone will confirm. Well, so let's go to the first question. So is someone able to tell me what, describe basically what the portfolio is in only one word? Do you know what a portfolio is? Do you ever had to to do one. Okay, it's a CV. Yeah, that's partly correct. It describes yourself. Yeah, that's also correct. We're gonna see it in a few seconds with the presentation of Sarah. Creativity and personality, that's correct. So basically one of the main tasks that the portfolio has is indeed to describe who you are, your personality, and also show what the creativity you have. And any other suggestions?
I like that a lot of you have talked about creativity, personality, and all being about you. So this is definitely something that is going to, like Julia was saying, is going to come up as we speak.
Yeah, indeed. So that's very personal, indeed. It's a presentation, indeed, of yourself on the tools on the artworks you did. That's all correct. Well,
okay, I think we have a good, overview. Shall we move to the next one?
Yes, let's move to the second question. Okay, so that's a more, I would say, difficult one. What would you like the others to understand about you through your portfolio? What do you want to communicate through the others? What do you think is the final goal of it? Okay, to get out your personality, correct? Some other ideas? My passion for design, wow, that's nice. Your background, correct? My point of view, nice. Talent, great.
If anyone has lost the screen of Mentimeter, you can use the code that you find on the top of the screen, and you just type in menti.com and then the code 67933784.
Yeah, and you get then reconnected to that. Okay, nice. Thinking skills, that's a nice one. I like it. What else? Background, personal, soul. Oh wow, that's intense. Yes, that's correct. And I bet that sometimes you get stuck while creating your portfolio, not knowing how well to inform the others about you. That's why we have some tips for you in these webinars, and I think it's time to get to those tips and to feel ready then to be able to share your portfolio then for admission to academias, to university, or for a job. So I would leave the floor to Sarah. And yeah, good luck. And if you have any question, please write them down in the chat. I will be able to answer them, or we can read them out, and Sarah will then answer if they are technical. And yes,
fantastic. Thank you so much, Julia. Thank you so much, Julia, and thank you everyone for taking part in this first interactive part. It was really important for us to get to know a bit more about what you guys already knew and your thoughts are on portfolios, and what to what to present with your portfolio and what a portfolio really is. So it was good you had like some really good insights. You know, I really like the creative thinking, so like all of the really interesting ones. So hopefully there are some themes that are coming back in what we're talking about. So what I'm gonna be talking about today.
Sarah,
Yes?
we could also ask if someone wants to write down in the chat box, what are the fields that interest you, like fashion, interior, or graphic design, or even medicine? Maybe you're here just because you want to know about portfolio, but you're interested in medicine. But just if you want to tell us, like, what is your field of interest, what you would like to do in the future, and just write it down in the chat box so we will know even a little more about you.
Absolutely. So please use the chat box so we get to know a bit more about your insights and what you guys are interested in. And you'll see how everything is sort of connected with the things that we're talking about. So some of the tips that with Julia we've created and I'm going to be presenting today are some very general tips that you can apply to, you know, different portfolios that you may be presenting. Maybe some of you might even have some portfolio for clients. So, you know, these are very general, and hopefully they can help you, can support you in your portfolio building. So before diving into these 5 mistakes that you should never really do, I would like to talk to you about. I would like to start with this quote. So design is thinking made visual. Yeah, if you were wondering why I'm here, why I'm part of this panel of speakers, that's because I am a visual person. I've studied graphic design, and my practice has a very strong focus on editorial and composition, which is driven for me by storytelling. So I've studied graphic design both at a bachelor degree level and at the postgraduate level. So I hope that some of my expertise can help you in what we're doing today, really. So as I mentioned, I would like to kick off this part of the webinar with this quote. This quote is from designer Sol Bass, and a while back he said, you know, design is thinking made visual. So I think this perfectly sums up what you need to do when presenting your creative portfolio. Your portfolio is basically your artist and design business card. So it's what, you know, talks about you, and it talks about you, who you are at your core. So it has to illustrate your uniqueness, and it also needs to present in a catchy way so that you know can get the attention from the admissions team in various design schools at Accademia Italiana, but at other places that you might be presenting your portfolio for admission. So today we're going to be focusing on some common mistakes and some imperfections that might occur when creating your portfolio. And I'm also going to give you some useful tips on how to avoid these mistakes. Okay, so let's dive into it now. So the most common mistake is submitting everything and anything, and having, you know, 100 pages long portfolio where you have so much work on display. When you're developing your portfolio, the very first thing that you need to be doing is to start making a selection based on the creative projects that you have. Being selective is really important. So you need to be selective. It's better to have a few quality pieces rather than having lots of work that is, you know, just okay, but doesn't really tell your story. So when I was talking about me as a graphic designer, I talked about storytelling. And I think this is something that you can, you know, keep in mind in this part. You know, what is the story that you want to be telling? Who are you as a designer, as an artist, or, you know, whatever field you're interested in. So this part is really about talking about you and your story. But I would also like to give you some useful tips. You know, once you have your selection of creative works, which could be, you know, 5, 10, 20 pieces of projects, and they can be a mix of mixed media, they can be hand drawings, they can be maybe some digital work. You need to think about also, creating balance of the elements that you are presenting. Balance is usually used to create a visual harmony as part of your composition, and it's going to be presented in a much nicer way. So each element has its own visual weight, and the visual weight of the elements that we are presenting are determined by size, by color, by form, by positioning these elements into your composition. So you have an example here of a good balanced photography project presented as part of this portfolio by With Conviction. And if I can give you a tip on the easier way to create balance in your layout, is basically just to divide your composition in half. This can be either horizontally, so you can work from top to bottom, or vertically, so working from left to right. So divide the elements that you have in the two spaces evenly, and this is going to be just great. This is going to create a good balance, and it's going to help you with the project that you are presenting, with the selection of projects that you are presenting. I'm going to go down to the second hopeful mistake, which is avoid to take truly photographed work. So once you have established the work that you want to showcase in your portfolio, it's also really, really important to avoid taking some poor shots of the work that you're showcasing. So you can showcase your work at the best potential by taking very good care of the photograph, or maybe scanning your project if you have done some hand drawings, for example. If you are taking pictures of your work, maybe think about taking advantage of natural lighting to create a good contrast in the light of the images that you're presenting. So here you can see an example from one of my projects. So I also like to work on mixed media and doing, for example, monoprinting. So I'm really interested in printing techniques, and this is what I've done here with a project that is part of my personal portfolio. And I try to take a dynamic picture. I set my work in front of good lighting. So for example, how you can do that, you can just place your work in front of a window, for example, and just take the picture. And that is going to be as good as it gets if you don't have a studio at home. I know a lot of people also are starting to create their own studios at home. I've seen some really amazing videos on TikTok, for example, of like the things that you can do. So just take good care about the lighting and the positioning of your work, and this is going to present your work in the best possible way. If you don't have a camera, you can scan your work through a scanner, through a digital scanner, or you can also use your phone. Most of our phones now have amazing cameras that just take amazing images in general. So this is also a time maybe you can think about scale. So this is what you can see that I've done in this image that I'm presenting. You can think about scale and creating scale and contrast effects as part of your composition, for example. And this is going to be showing relative importance. So for me, I'll just take this image as an example. For me here, the important part was not really showcasing how good I am at drawing, because I am a terrible drawer. So I just wanted to showcase the media, the experimentation. So this is why I don't have a flat example of my work, but it's more dynamic. And I am creating basically, I'm just creating contrast, and I'm just creating scale in the work that I am presenting. So how can you do that? You can do it by again playing with images, or maybe you can have, one part of your work that is much bigger than another one, and that is also going to showcase its importance in the composition that you are presenting. I can see there's a lot going on in the chat. I don't see the messages, but if you want to shout out anything, Julia, Fabrice, or anyone, please feel free to open up the mic and and let me know your thoughts. Okay, so I'm going to move to my third point, which is, we talked about having fully photographed work, but it's also as important to present your work, not present your work poorly. It's really important to present your work in a good composition. So here you have an example from one of our third year photography students, and where Marta is presenting her work in a very balanced, in a very harmonical way. So, composition is really important as part of your presentation. So art, design, and fashion are visual subjects. So this is why, having a structured composition is important. Having an unstructured and unarranged composition basically communicates disorganized ideas about your work. When someone has just a few minutes to assess or moderate your entire your work, first impressions count, and they have some weight. So it's really important to have something very simple, well composed, and this is just going to let your work shine, and it's going to talk about you, and it's all about the work that you're presenting. The easiest way to create good composition is by using hierarchy. So this simply means that you need to establish an order of importance of the things that you want to communicate. So we started this journey up talking about selecting the work that you want to present, photographing your work, and then the third step is really how you present it and what is the order of importance of the things that you want to present. When you communicate a story, so we've been talking about storytelling, think about the fact that your audience needs something to lie its eye first in the first instance. So when you compose a layout, you need to create a focal point in your composition, and this is going to be the first thing your audience eye sees, basically. So what I ask you is, look at the visual elements that you have, the visual elements that you want to present to your audience, and think of a good order of importance. So what is the itinerary that you want them to do? Like, do you want them to see first your name? Do you want them to see first the title? Do you want them to see only your work, like what you can see here? This composition of images is very, very simple, but also very effective, because it is presented in a simple but effective way. So the easiest way to create visual hierarchy, and here I am, mainly referring to Western culture. Usually information is read from left to right and top to bottom. So what you can do very easily is to create a Z in your composition, in your layout, and use this as the your composition, as your layout, and this is going to be as easy as it gets, really. I'm gonna go on the fourth point.
Sarah, can I interrupt you? We have a nice question from Tolga asking, is it okay to present sketches or draft concepts rather than mature works? What would you advise?
Amazing, thank you. That's really helpful, because it leads me to my fourth point, which is showcasing your work in progress. it's really, really important actually to showcase, some work in progress and your development. I mean, on here, what I can suggest you is also to maybe double check the portfolio requirement of the design school that you are applying to. But for us at Accademia Italiana, it's important because we want to see how you develop your ideas from initial concepts to final pieces. And this also, showcases your unique creative point of view. And this is the easiest way really to do it, because, when you present a final piece of work, it's just very polished and it's perfect. But when you present the process behind it, development behind it, it tells a lot about the student as well and their thinking process as well. So on here, I just want to say that, remember that no one is really born with refined skills, and you're also enrolling to a design or an art school to learn. And especially here at Accademia Italiana, all of our courses start from zero. They start from the very basics, from the foundations of graphic design, of photography, of fashion design, of interior and product design, of jewelry design, communication, multimedia. So we start from the basics, from the foundations. And you're coming to a design school, to an art school to learn, and we want to take you on this journey. But on the other hand, showcasing how you think tells a lot about your story, and it adds a lot to your personal storytelling. So I would encourage you to add, development and work in progress projects, because this is going to talk about how you think, your thought process, and ultimately your uniqueness in comparison to other creatives, for example. But on this part, maybe also double check with whichever design school you are applying for. For us, it's definitely important. So we really love to see that. We really want to see that part. So I'm gonna go to my next point. Can you see? Okay. Okay. So no captions, no context. This is also something that I want to focus a little bit, a few more words compared to the other slides, because a picture may be worth 1,000 words, and having most of the time your work will speak for itself, and it's going to say a lot about you as well. But if you have an image coupled with some words, with a description, with some context, it's worth even more, especially when it's highlighting your thoughts, when it's highlighting all of the materials in the work that you use to produce. So when I presented some of my work earlier in the presentation, I said I really like to work with mixed media. I really like to work with printmaking techniques, and that says a lot about me, because this is something that I really enjoy. I also said I'm terrible at hand drawing. So again, it just adds a little piece to the puzzle of defining who, for example, Sara is as a graphic designer. So, demonstrating how you, demonstrating and also documenting your process is fundamental, because it's just going to give, that added context to your creative work. If you need a quick checklist of the things that you should be including in your caption, I would personally add a brief explanation summarizing what the project is about. So were you doing a group project? Were you doing a school project? Was that a passion project? So what is this project about? What were you exploring in this project? It's really interesting to know some of the materials that you use in the making of this piece. So is it hand drawing? Is it digital? Did you use maybe any softwares? This also talks a bit more, in depth about some technical skills, which I mentioned are not very for us are not fundamental, but they tell something about you as a creative person. We would also like to know, for example, when did you create this work? So is this a recent work? Was this a work that you did a while back? Was it 5 years ago, 10 years ago? So when did you create this, the work that you are presenting? I mentioned about, collaborative projects. So maybe you are doing some collaborative projects already in school, or outside of school. Maybe you are part of an art and design club. So it's good to mention this project because it showcases that you are able to work in team, that you are comfortable of being part of a collaborative project. But also it's good to know what role did you have as part of this team, and also give credit to your teammates or partners, like explain what their role was and what the overall outcome of the project was in general. The last thing I would add is if this project was inspired by other creatives. So as part of your portfolio, you can also add maybe a mood board or a collage, things that you are inspired by. So it's really good at this point to showcase where do you draw your inspiration from? Are you inspired by a specific artist? Are you, for example, if you're really into fashion, are you inspired by a specific brand, by a specific designer, or are you inspired by an art movement? So I'll tell you mine. I really love working in black and white, and which is, I know it's a bit weird for a graphic designer, but that's because I am inspired by the functional design. So this is the type of design that I'm inspired by. So this is a good place to add all of this extra information that just add value and tell a lot about who you are, and just the type of creative and the type of thinker that you are really. So we said, 5 mistakes to avoid in your portfolio, 5 mistakes to make sure not to add. But we have a bonus one that we would like to add, and in my opinion, this is the most important one. So my bonus tip would be just be yourself. It's really important to let your personality and your individuality shine through in the project, in the portfolio that you are presenting. Showcasing your best work, it's amazing, but ultimately the most important thing is to get a sense of who you are as a creative. So allow your personality and uniqueness to shine through in your portfolio. Some designers will include, some personal projects or some passion projects. I mentioned that earlier, and this just adds up to the story about who you are, about the type of thinker that you are, and it's extremely important. You can add this part by, for example, having a written part about yourself, like a little mini introduction. So in this part, maybe you can have a little introduction about who you are, what you're passionate about, where do you find, again, inspiration from? Is there something that you don't like, for example? This is also important, like, it's not just the things that you like, but also the things that you don't like as a creative. Can you talk about this, for example? Do you have any hobbies? What do you do outside of being a creative? Like, do you play any sports? Do you do any creative projects? Just like all of these extra bits are extremely important. So I know I was saying lots of personal things as well. So for example, I mentioned it earlier, as a graphic designer, I hate using color. But this presentation was super colorful, so I hope you appreciate that. So I don't really like using much color, and I know it sounds a little bit, it doesn't sound right, but that's because I mentioned it. I get inspiration from functional design, and that tells a lot about me and the way I see graphic design in general, and the type of creative that I am. So yeah, thank you so much for listening. This was